Hi guys, this is Günther from Pax Europiana, today from Durres. The objective of my visit today is this castle here, the Sogu, the King's Castle here above Durres. I will try to walk up and not to get a heat stroke in between. I have today my Ukrainian dress, also in solidarity with Ukraine, also to convince a lot of Ukrainians to come here to beautiful Albania. It has these fantastic beaches and this perfect kind of beach setting. It's so many sand beaches and it's relatively cheap. Yeah? It's not the Côte d'Azur, that's maybe for the oligarchs, yeah? But it's of course Croatia, Montenegro, also very beautiful. But if you like sand beaches and if you like this Adriatic atmosphere here in Albania, you are well advised to come here and to spend your holidays here. Just a friend of mine contacted me. I have some richer friends also. They stayed in Austria in business when I left to the Balkans. And he is actually considering buying apartments here. That's also some good idea. For 70,000 euros you can get one of them. For 120 you are already in the penthouse level. When I see the prices in Odessa, of course Odessa is Odessa, but already the prices are more expensive over there. You have to pay $2,000 per square meter for similar property. And here you can get it for half the money. And okay, then you are in Albania. But actually it's quite nice here. And here is this unlimited places, the open sea, the access to everything in Europe. Close down there is Greece, Italy, Montenegro. Here the lines, you see a lot of traffic now here with the ferries coming in and out. And obviously it's a lot of potential here for the future. It will join the European Union much earlier than Ukraine. It said, I'm of course for a fast-track accession of everybody who is in NATO and pro-NATO. But of course you will have to be also realistic that Albania is already in NATO since now 13 years. And successfully so. Very strong, and here's the Albanian flag I see beautifully. And I will walk now around a bit, and walk you through this beautiful promenade. There's not a lot of business now, it's just 11 o'clock, and so the people are still at the beach or at home, or like me, walking, doing some sightseeing, and hopefully not getting a heat stroke. But it's a beautiful day. The sun it's not very hot actually, it's just moderately hot. Good for the beach and nice to enjoy this beautiful climate. I already talked about the Ukrainian political situation in this different video. No need to repeat it, but I tell you everybody, please guys, get a grip. Nord Stream 2 is now reality. Focus on a European future. The world is not about Ukraine. You can be part of the Western world if you want. Here in Albania, make tourism. I also do this video to make a lot of promotion for this alliance I want to create since 5 years, not very successfully though, between the Albanians and the Ukrainians, and between Macedonia, Montenegro obviously, and integrate your beautiful country Ukraine into Southeastern European structures and actually not have two policies for Eastern Europe and the Balkans. As we have now, we have one policy for the Western Balkan, which is very much better working. Obviously Serbia being the problem, and Serbia's control over Bosnia and the Republika Srpska and this pro-Russian pivot. And then we have the Eastern Partnership policy. We have basically two policies, for the Eastern periphery. And Eastern Partnership was good when it was for 10 years, but now it's really defunct because of the war between Armenia and Azerbaijan, in which we could not intervene and do anything, just helplessly watching, and between obviously also the situation that Belarus is in complete collapse and authoritarian decline, and Serbia then making military drills with Belarus is of course a utter provocation. So we have this problem of Belarus, we have this problem of Serbia. So it's much better to make one policy now, exclude Belarus obviously, and put everybody in Regional Cooperation Council and have one policy for Eastern Europe. and the Balkans, and where whoever then really can join the European Union. That's the issue. Only NATO members can do that, and also countries which are really working with us in the key issues of foreign policy, and then they have to fulfill the criteria and many other things. But it's time for one policy for the EU from the Caucasus towards the Balkans, and including Ukraine, Moldova. Moldova is already part of it, and I have already said it's much better to have a reasonable common policy, and then we have differentiations between the countries. But to have now, as Mr. Michel said in Batumi, to have a new Eastern Partnership Summit with Lukashenko as the main guest, it cannot be serious. And even then, Nikol Pashinyan sitting with Aliyev on a table and doing as if they were friends. I mean, this Eastern Partnership is dead. It's dead, it's dead, it's dead. It must be now buried, and we leave it behind. It was good when we had it. Now we get all the 5 countries into Regional Cooperation Council, actually 4 only, because Moldova is already fully integrated in that. And we have then much better, and also in CEFTA obviously, it's already there. Here's again the beach, the ferries, the port, and I will walk you down now. You know already, I was drinking some beer here in the night. This is full, a promenade. I didn't want to make a video. So many people, I don't know if everybody wants to be in my video. So it is a really beautiful walk I had here, and I liked very much. It was amazing. And here you see, of course, the Bay of Durrës. It's long. I cannot walk you there because it's too long, 22 kilometers. I will just try to do now this walk through the city, ancient center, the amphitheater, and make a separate video. But in this preparatory talk, I will talk about the history now up there, and also about the Roman times and about the 20th century history. And also thanks for the many feedbacks. A lot of people comment and give me positive encouragement. Some people give me very negative encouragement. Okay, that's also the reality. I have to live with it. I tell you how I see the Balkans, how I see Southeastern Europe, how I see the policy we have as a EU towards the European periphery. I know nobody really likes to be called periphery, but this is the fact. This is ex-Yugoslavia, this is Albania, communist Albania, this is the ex-Soviet Union. The third wave of enlargement, and our policy towards it is the most complicated now, but we need some courage, and we will be very successful as well with that. And it's better to unite the policies now and to make sure that we have one policy fitting one organization. We have it already, the Regional Cooperation Council. It's only 4 more members to take them in: Ukraine, of course, Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. And in Regional Cooperation Council we are used to handle difficult people, difficult countries. It's also Kosovo and Serbia inside. It's also Croatia and Bosnia and Serbia inside. So it's also very complicated. And so it makes no problem to have these 4 additional countries, their conflicts integrated, and then we have all the magic of the Busek mechanisms. They are going to make this much easier. And then all these beautiful countries here, they will sit together, they will learn how to peacefully harmonize each other, and then to have bilateral cooperation and make sure that we really work together in Europe decently and freely and enjoy our reality. Obviously that's very good. I show some of the places I avoid to show people who don't want to be on my video, obviously. I don't want to have any kind of discussions. And so I again say very clearly, the Eastern Partnership is dead. As always in Europe, until we change a policy, it takes some really huge process because everybody is repetitive. No, it's good, we make a summit, yeah. And in reality, nobody wants to sit with Lukashenko, and the Armenians and the Azeris certainly don't want to sit with each other. So this is a format which has lived out its usefulness. It must be rebudgeted into Southeastern Europe. The budget funds, it's anyhow very similar. And all the organizations of the Regional Cooperation Council, like the Energy Community, like the transport community. I was told by somebody the energy community will be now based from Vienna towards Kiev. That's very good, you know. Here something is happening, and this should be, of course, supported. The transport community in Belgrade, all Eastern Partnership in, and Belarus can be an associated member. That is my proposal. But already Mrs. Tsikhanovskaya to take the seat and allow her team to send representatives as associated towards the Transport Council, the energy community. So her team will learn how to govern regionally integrated in our structures, and that's very good. So I recommend that, and I call for that. So the other countries can also fully participate. We have the Southeastern European Health Network, we have the Southeastern European for everything. Transport, energy, I mentioned, anti-corruption, regional anti-corruption initiative, RAI. We have also the Podgorica, it's in Danilovgrad based, School for Public Administration, very useful. The Center for Excellence in Finance, that's very useful. And here another communist warrior. I still have not learned what he is about, but I don't like communists in whatever way or shape, so don't worry, don't bother too much. But it's some of the liberation figures of the war, of the Second World War, I guess. That's the story of this monument. And here the sea. Now I gradually will be back to the Byzantinian tower, or it's a Venetian tower. By the way, it's always very good, you know, in fact, when you go to Venice, you see Venice was Byzantium. They have stolen everything when they took over Constantinople into 1204. And before they were a part of Byzantinian. Yeah, they were basically the navy of the Byzantinian Empire, outpost in Venetia. And then with the fall, they took over. And so when somebody tells you a Venetian tower, a Byzantinian tower, it's more or less the same, because they were basically one of the splinters of the Byzantium, the most western splinter, if you want to say like that. And obviously they continue to make great business over there and fighting the Ottoman Empire. And so that is the story. Like very similar also when you look at Ukraine. Go to Ukraine history. All the Ukrainian history very much connected with Byzantium and the Ottoman Empire and the struggles between them. And so if anybody tells me that Ukraine is not part of Southeastern Europe, I say you even know history worse than me. I also learned it in Ukraine. I was not so aware about that the Byzantinian Empire was such a dominant force, because in Austria, in Catholic Austria, you don't learn much about Byzantium. You know, you learn more about our empire, and thank you. And you learn these things. And so I didn't know that, but I learned it. And and so bravo, Slava Ukraine. No. Na, Austria.
Austria?
Austria, yeah.
Ukraine.
Ukraine, bravo. Yeah. My friend from Ukraine, Slava Ukraine.
Slava Ukraine. Slava Austria.
Slava Austria.
Yeah.
Gärtner, fine. You see Ukrainians, we have real Ukrainians here. That's good. They thought I'm Ukrainian, so that's a very good thing. I couldn't speak, my Ukrainian was limited. Again, my brain is full of Albanian language and Serbian, but Slava Ukraine I didn't forget. Anyhow, I love Ukraine, but you know, Ukraine has also to be less arrogant, less ignorant, and learn about Europe. That's my mission. They don't like it. I got some negative feedback now on Twitter again. But when you look at the whole Ukrainian history, it was the same, you know. There was Byzantinian Empire, they were more or less part of it, same like the Balkans. And then obviously after that came, it was then the moment where then the Ottoman Empire took over. And so basically that's the history in short nutshell also of the Balkans. So it's very much the battling zone between Russian and Byzantinian and Ottoman Empire. That's the history of these places. You can just see it like this, and it's the whole of Southeastern Europe is exactly this kind of battle zone, the friction zone between the Ottoman, the Russian Empire and the West. The West obviously then in various kind of connotation, Roman Empire, then whatever, Byzantinian Empire, German Empire, and then later the American Empire, and now the European Union and NATO. This friction zone, we are here today still in Ukraine and the Balkans. Unfortunately, we have decided to divide ourselves in two policies because that was convenient, one for ex-Yugoslavia, one for the ex-Soviet Union in Europe. That's now called Eastern Partnership and Regional Cooperation Council, and only Moldova is in both. No wonder Moldova works much better than the rest. So what we need to do now is to make sure that this is united. Yeah? And I have this 5 years campaign now, 4 years, since 2017. Actually, I started from the beginning. When I talked in December 2016 with Dr. Busek, he was against it. And he told me no, 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 no. And I also with Edward, I talked in the interview, he's also not in favor, and I understand a lot of people don't want it because they think anyhow Ukraine is lost and difficult. And so let's better care for the Balkans because of their emotional engagement with the Balkans in 20 years of peacemaking and reconstruction. But I have also spent 4 years personally in Ukraine. Not that I'm just, knowing Ukraine, of course, better than some, but I also have concluded that the real way forward is the back door via the Balkans. I published all these articles. Thanks, Andreas Umland, for helping me in that one. And this is the better strategy. It's now a 4 years struggle of mine since 2016-17. I paid heavily with that because of all this opposition to it. But I think now gradually we will get into the point that it will be understood. And here you see some of this Albanian college tourists. And now I will try to give you some impression of this beautiful Roman amphitheater. Let's see what I can show you. But ultimately the most important message I have here is that Ukraine is in all extent and purposes quite similar to the Balkan. Obviously, Ukraine is the same size like Balkan 6, even double. No one country alone. It's of course a big country with significance for Europe. It will be the biggest country, and I always explain also my friends in Kosovo and Albania and Macedonia. It's very good to have a strong country, stronger than Serbia inside, because obviously Serbia is now the dominating power since Croatia left to EU and NATO. Serbia is a bit the bully in the region since 2014 especially, and they behave like that. And Ukraine being inside, it would obviously contain Serbian power. And Ukraine is now a pro-Western country in strategic outlook. Obviously in many things it has still to improve, but so it's very important for us to have Ukraine in Southeastern European structures, and that's now the time to get this done. One of the compensation items Ukraine should get for the fact that Ukraine has to accept now the Nord Stream 2 deal. That's absolutely necessary, and not to make a big mess out of it and annoy the American protectors and the German financiers. That is very important. Whenever complicated, you have to make also sure that you understand the reality of Ukraine's geostrategic situation today in 2021, and not to mess up the few supporters there are. That's also not so easy to understand or accept. I know it's a bit painful. That's why I say it very clearly. So, we are not the Roman Empire in the EU, just don't get me wrong. I talk about these Roman times in order to show you a bit what is the beauty of this country, but also to show you that strategically tourism is important. It always was, it always will, and we shouldn't neglect it. And obviously here the Roman ruins show you all this beauty, and you can find similar things, not in Ukraine, maybe in Crimea, because Crimea was also very close to the Roman Empire. Like Durrës was an important trading route also at that time already. Much of Ukraine was obviously wild steppe back then. Now it's an important industrial and agricultural hub. It will be very good for Southeastern Europe to be part of it. And I think it is the time to get this done. Here at the Durrës ruins, I make this declaration. Ukraine, here's a lot of things you will be surprised positively in attitude towards you. And please join Southeastern Europe. Join this beautiful region and also invest here, bring your money, make this kind of a big market. It's much potential for everybody in this cooperation, and I call for it to be very successful. And we have also this duty to make sure that ERP is now finished, and long live the Regional Cooperation Council and all its substructures and CEFTA and all these 20 other organizations I have already listed. And that will be, of course, very good. United we can also achieve much more, and that will also revive the enlargement process with the power and significance of the Balkans and Ukraine, Georgia united. So far from now, more to come. Best regards from Pax Europiana.